Hello, people. Hello. Thank you for joining us for this lunchtime chat. Um, Let me introduce myself. My name is Yvonne McBride. This is Yvonne McBride Lit Life. And in this space, we motivate, we encourage, we support Black and Brown women who want to live their dreams, who want to pursue writing dreams, who want to pursue traveling dreams, who want to pursue their next life dream. And if your dream includes being a writer, writing that book, you are in for a treat today. We have Halona Black. She is a writer, she is an expat. World traveler. She is doing all the things, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Introduce yourself to the people, Miss Black.
Hello, good afternoon from Playa del Carmen, Mexico. That's where I am today. I am a freelance writer. I've been freelance writing for the last 10 or so years now. I can't even believe it's been that long. But yeah, I'm a freelance writer, and I literally have done all types of freelancing in the last 10 years. Start out one way and then it just sort of evolves as I move on. I've lived in um, 10 different countries in the last 6 years that I've been permanently abroad. I've traveled before, in spurts here and there throughout my life. But in 10 different countries I've been in the last 6 years. I really just sort of just been permanently gone from the States. I've only been back to the States once for 30 days to visit family a couple of years ago. Um, but yeah, I really love my life. I love my writing life. I love what I've created for myself. And I'm really excited to just be able to share and answer whatever questions you have for me to be able to help more people. I think I have the most the writing life that a lot of people are looking for. They want the freedom to be able to write the things that interest them, and to be able to travel around the world at the same time. So I feel fortunate to be able to have achieved that portion of my life.
And I specifically, so she skipped over a few things. I specifically asked Halana to join me today because not only is she a freelancer, but she is also an author and book coach, right?
Yes.
Um, and because she is living the dream, right? So people who have, oh, I want to write the book, but I can't move forward with my life until this book is finished. She is here to tell us, to not only tell us, but to show us as well. See what I did there? See what I did there? That you can, you don't have to put your life on hold to wait for a certain point, to wait for the book to be finished, to wait for you hit the bestsellers list. You can live your best life now if you have the talent, if you have a laptop, if you have the will, and if you have the community, right? To make it happen. You have to believe that it can happen. You have to see someone who has done the D thing. And she is this person. We're going to get into how she did it. We're going to get into her wonderful life living abroad based on her talents. Her writing talents has fueled this vision for her life. We're going to get into all things about how writing has helped her health, helped her self journey, her self care journey. We're going to get into all the things. So please stick with us throughout this video. Let's get started. We're going to begin at the beginning. So, um, on my Facebook post, right, I said I pay homage to Zora Neale Hurston, whose quote is basically, "If you have an untold story inside of you, you pick up the pen." Right. That is Miss Zora Neale Hurston's quote. It is not Maya Angelou's quote. um, but thinking about that quote, were you all? Did you always want to be a writer? Is it something that you
Mm.
grew into? What were you? What were your early memories of being creative or being a writer?
I always enjoyed writing. I'm not sure as a kid I understood that being a writer was like a profession. I was always very creative, and of course, as many parents will do, they will discourage They will discourage the creativity in their children because they want them to do something that is more,
Stable.
I guess, seen as more lucrative.
Yes.
And I come from, very much a working class family, people, people who work hard. Um, but I was the first in my family to be able to go to college and do all of those things. So yeah, I was always very creative. I was always told that, oh, you write really, you write really well. You have a strong voice. Not really understanding what that meant when people say,
Right.
oh, you have a strong voice when you write. It always just kind of felt easy for me to be able to express myself in writing. Not so much as a speaker. I was always really quiet, particularly as a kid. I've grown through that as I've gotten older, and of course, people will still say I'm too quiet, but whatever, that's fine.
Writers
um,
usually are. Writers usually are quiet though. Hmm.
yeah, but I've always loved being able to express myself in writing, um, and so I had several careers um, throughout my life. I went to school to study um, film production and
Wow.
editing, and video production and editing. My goal was to be a freelance editor. But that was discouraged, and I actually got a job in New York City, working in several places, and until I got one place, and they actually fired me for something that I still don't even get to this day. It was a racial thing. Um,
Oh. Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, and so what I did was I joined the Peace Corps, and then after I joined the Peace Corps, I came back home shortly after 9/11. Um, and when you join, I went to Togo in West Africa, and my life, just changed. I was open to new things, saw new things, and I was really just unclear about what I wanted to do. So at that point, I got into teaching, and I started to teach GED writing, reading and writing, which I really loved. I did that for a few years, and then my career just sort of moved in the space of teaching adults reading and writing, and then eventually teaching people how to be able to get jobs in places where they were interesting for them in technology and things like that. And so to have a career now as a writer, I had always kind of known that writing was interesting to me. My health had started to take a turn, and I wanted to be able to write about it.
Okay.
So in writing about my health, I
So
started a
so
blog.
pause. So how long after you started, you working, what
Mhm.
was the year spans between this time?
Okay, so I did Peace Corps in 2000 to 2002. And
Okay.
then I had a number of years where I was, let's see, so I had probably a 10 or so years of working in the field of education. Probably a little more, probably like 12, 13 years. I
Okay.
had went back to school, gotten a master's degree in international education, which I really loved. I love that program. And I started to do a doctorate program in education, but wound up flunking out of that.
Because so
um,
much school. We had so many things in parallel though. But go ahead. We're getting to that. We're getting to the parallels. But go ahead. Yes.
it's funny now, but back then it was absolutely devastating.
Listen, when you said so many parallels, that's another reason why I wanted to interview you. Um, because growing up, I always liked to write. It was easy, like you said, like English was my favorite subject. I loved reading books. I love, just analyzing, deep diving into books, but I will always write poetry, little things that we
Mhm.
always start with, right? But
Yeah.
I come from Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh. It's a working class city, right? I had a working class family, right? So when I was like, I want to be a writer, my mom was like, okay, well, let's see how we can tweak that. Because, it's especially in the 80s, that was, you didn't want to be a starving artist.
Hmm.
you need to do something that's going to make you money in this field. So it was
Right.
journalism, right? So she put me in all of the journalism workshops, and it was a journalism thing here, and went to school and majored in journalism and changed that like really quick. Journalism has so many like why am I in journalism? That's my major, but I had to take all these finance classes. Math was not my
Hmm.
jam. I'm like, all right, I gotta get out of this. So when am I going, when am I choose English education, right?
Hmm.
And then, but I really want to do creative writing. We didn't
Yeah.
have a creative writing program. You could take it as a minor. So, took all the creative writing courses I could take, but graduated with the job, right? With the job degree that you could go in and make money for, which was teaching, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of parallels there, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I always wanted to write. I always wanted to be a writer. So up to this point, we're the same. However, I hated school. It took me. I was on the 5-year plan, right, instead of the four
Yeah.
year plan. So it took me a while. I'm like, I know I'm not going to. I wanted to write, but I did not want to do an MFA. I'm not going to get my master's. I'm finished with school. This is done. What we gonna do after this? So bravo for you for going forward and pursuing more education. But no, it wasn't for me. So
Mhm.
you said you started working, you didn't know, you were lost for a while. Then where did you end up landing?
Yeah, so I was working in adult education, and I actually really loved my career in adult education. I really loved because I was working teaching people how to read and write.
Yes.
And just I found that really just working with people and their self-esteem and just helping people to move towards goals that they always wanted to but felt that they couldn't because they were so ashamed of the fact that they couldn't read and write. I taught English to foreigners for a while. Also, and I really I like that because it actually sort of laid the foundation for what I'm moving more into now, which is the coaching people who want to be able to write books.
Right.
Um, and so I really love that. But while I was doing my career in education, I had a couple of blogs that I was doing on my own. Nothing that I was getting paid for and didn't really know how to get paid to be able to write. I just knew I had something to say. So I started out with one education blog that I used for a couple of years. And it kind of, got me some local recognition. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And, it got me a chance to be able to teach like blogging classes to community centers and
Right.
it got me a couple of consulting gigs in the field. So that was pretty cool. And I started to learn that, when you write, when you share yourself through story, written story, people will start to learn who you are. Because I was
Yes.
never really great at networking. And if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. is all about networking with people, which I found to be very painful. I was like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just,
Smoozing is not, yeah, yeah, I get it.
yeah, I just wanted to I wanted to do something from home. Um, and, people just sort of connected to me through the thing that I felt good about doing, which was writing. I did that for a couple of years. Then my health started to become more of an issue. I had fibroids, and I was just trying to figure out, why I had fibroids, where they were coming from. I didn't really understand why I felt like my body was betraying me. I kept gaining all of this weight, and I just didn't know why. And my doctors that I was going to, they just kept saying, well, we can either put you on birth control pills or we can do some sort of a surgery. So, and this is just something that goes through year after year after year, and my health is getting worse to a point where they decide that they want to take the fibroids out, doing surgery. I did the surgery,
Oh
but
wow.
6 months
Okay.
later, the fibroids are growing back, and I'm like, I don't understand. And I went through so much hell and pain in that first fibroid surgery, and it just didn't make sense to me No
And
one
then
ever
this,
told me that they could grow back.
and it's like, right, like you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me
Hmm.
this. And it feels like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
It feels
they
like
don't.
you're experimenting with my body. You are, medicine, they say it's a science, but it's an experimentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you say, that's why there's so many side effects. That's why you have to sign all these forms when you get procedures done, because they may be experts at what it looks like, but they
Hmm.
never know if it's going to come back. They never know if you're going to be cured. It's
Right.
never based on a lifestyle
Hmm.
change, right? It's based on how we can solve the symptom, not
Right.
how we can stop it. It's always
Hmm.
reactive. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and so what I started to do was I started to write and look for books in particular that talked about fibroids. There had to be some sort of a natural way to be
Yes,
able to deal with fibroids. I didn't really have the language when I first started. I was looking for language, anybody that could I just had
yes.
a feeling that there was more than what doctors were telling me. And especially back then, this is probably, I think, around 2009, 2010ish. um, there wasn't a ton of information on the internet about fibroids. It was, that you get a very clinical explanation of what fibroids are. And then, it could be treated with surgery or birth control pills. And I didn't like either one of those choices.
Mm-hmm.
So then started to find books by Queen Afua, um,
Mm-hmm.
just getting into her books. I love and appreciate her so much for
Her
what
work.
she teaches Black
Yes,
women. Yeah,
yes.
and she takes the time to put it in books.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so important. Put your knowledge
Mm-hmm.
in books. This is so important. People are looking for what you have. Um, Put it in books.
And it's out there, like especially now, but especially even then, like I was in Atlanta
Hmm.
during my health challenges. We'll get into that later, but there are pockets of community, especially where Black people are. There are pockets
Hmm.
of community where people have the knowledge, right?
Hmm.
You just have to seek that
Absolutely.
out. And you were in DC at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to seek that. If you feel like, you're not getting the treatment, number one,
Hmm.
the advice, the care that you need, seek it out. Seek out if you feel like they're just prescribing medicine, if they feel like they're not listening to you, there are holistic health wellness communities out there. Find them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then talking to doctors, they were just saying things that they make you feel like everything is your fault. If you just change your life. But my life was so out of sorts, and all over the place. I had been in relationships that were abusive, just bad choices altogether, and just trying to figure out where it is that you want to be able to go in life. You like parts of your career, but all of it is not happy. So you feel bad because you feel like you've chosen the wrong thing. I had lost my mother. She died at the age of 49 of breast cancer. And so that was a lot of grief, and you never get the support that you need through, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, going through that journey of cancer with your mom, and then eventually she dies, and everybody just
Mm-hmm.
sort of expects you to just go on with life.
Yes.
And you just go from one tragic event to the next, and there's never any processing.
It's never any process because there's no time to do that,
Yeah.
right? There's no
Hmm.
time for you to think about what step to take next when you have rent to pay, when you have this to pay,
Hmm.
and then you're going through your own health issues. It piles
Hmm.
up, right? And then
Absolutely.
your mother is, yeah, I get it. Your mother
Hmm.
has transitioned. You're scared that you're going to be the next person if you don't, get your life together. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, and you don't realize that all of that stress impacts your health. Like, I didn't understand that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the stress that I was experiencing was impacting my health. But the only thing they tell you to do is, you can take some depression pills.
Yes.
And again, that doesn't make sense. Like
Yes.
why can't
You're
we just work
treating,
on the
right.
thing?
Right.
Like
Yes. Can
I
we
don't
not
understand it. Why do
eradicate
we
my
have
depression? I'm just covering up the depression with the pills that are not working.
to?
That have its own side effects, right?
Yeah. And then, we never learn about how to be in a proper relationship. I was married once for 10 years, and then I got into another relationship for another 5 years. And it was a hot mess. I had no business being in either one of those relationships.
A
But
marriage for 10 years that you had no reason being, that you had no business being in this 10
I
year
did.
marriage.
But we get told as women, once you make a decision to be married, that you just got to figure
You have
out
to
how to
stick
make it
with it.
work. But you
Yes.
don't have any models on learning how to make it work. So what
And
are we
that's what you're
doing, really?
supposed to do, right? You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have kids, right? That's the
Hmm.
cycle of life. So if you can't make it work, what is wrong with you, right?
Yeah. You think everything is your fault.
Yeah.
And so all of this was a mess. And so I say all of this to say that I had put all of this information in a new blog that I started,
Ah,
that was
okay.
more health focused.
Okay.
And it was really just me talking all of these issues out.
Yes.
And what I
Processing it for
did,
yourself. Yes.
yes. And what I did is I wound up creating a very small community of people from all over the world, like literally the States, the Caribbean, India, some people from Lebanon, Libya, like literally all over the world. People were writing me and saying, "Hey, I'm having the same issue." And so I did that for a few years, um, doing that blog and just sharing what I was learning about how to be able to cook from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And how that affects the body. I learned about, just the benefits of eating fruits and vegetables,
Right.
learning about all the preservatives that was in the food that we were eating, and I
So this
really
is
just
you
gave
just
myself.
exploring, this is you exploring what you're going through personally, putting it on paper, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
sharing it with the internet, basically.
yeah, and sharing it with others. And I really just sort of fell in love with cooking and, learning about fresh foods and, learning about my health. Even though I was still sick, because I would, you would learn the information and you store the information, but then you still go to a job you don't like.
Yes.
You're still in a relationship that's not good for you. Um, and you still have on this packed on trauma that you haven't begun to even look at and don't know where to start.
But you're learning in real
Um,
time, right? You're learning in real
yeah.
time. You're sharing in real time. And uh, that's what's missing. Like we watch, even YouTube, you watch YouTube, you listen to
Hmm.
motivational speakers, they have already reached the point, right? They have already
Yeah.
reached the status. So they're looking back, it's in hindsight. They're trying to help people get to where they are instead of talk about the stuff while you're in the stuff, right?
Hmm.
Like, how do you process the meat in the bones? I need to know how you got through it. I want to see how you got through it. And you were doing it in real time. You were sharing
Hmm.
in real time. So that's more valuable
Yeah.
to me. I think people see that as more relatable than,
Hmm.
how to get to where I am. I made it through
Yeah.
it. You can too. But people need to see sometimes the struggle.
Hmm. It is. And it was an absolute struggle in the beginning. And like what I didn't understand is that there's a learning period. Like all of this information was new, and that you pack it in and it sits in your brain, in your subconscious, until you're actually ready to use it. So I would practice it sometimes, and I would, go to farmers markets and take pictures,
Yes.
and I, fell in love with the colors of fresh fruits and vegetables, and learn that there's a difference in the flavor in the fresh fruits and vegetables and what you would get at a regular grocery store. Or certain types of meat tasted different from, what you would get in a regular grocery store, and what fresh meat tasted like. Um, and so all of this was a learning process. So but at the same time, my personal, like my health wasn't changing because my lifestyle
Yes.
wasn't moving anywhere.
Yes.
But I was still getting all of this education and internalizing it. And I think there was like, a point where everything just came to a head, so to speak, where I was like, I felt so bad. I was about 40 or 41 years old, and I had just started to feel so sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was around the time that my own mother, she had was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 39. I think Yvonne got kicked out for a second, but I'm gonna continue with my story. So yeah, I was about 40 years old. Oh, you're still here.
I'm here. I do that sometime. I should have alerted you before we started. I go off stream when you get into your pocket so you can talk to the people. Go ahead.
Okay. No problem. But yeah, I was about 40 years old and I started to just feel bad, just feeling really ill. Nothing, nothing in particular, but my fibroids were getting worse. My menstrual cycles were just terrible. I had really bad anxiety and depression. I couldn't sleep until, I tried to sleep all night and wouldn't be able to fall asleep until 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Were you still in the
And it was just
relationship
a
or had you left
horrible.
the relationship?
I was starting to think that it was time for me to start to
Okay.
leave the relationship. And
Okay.
then when I actually did, I said, well, I actually felt like I was dying. I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going to
Wow.
die early, like my mom did. And so I'd always wanted to just spend time in other cultures, learning other cultures and seeing the world. And in my head, I said I was going to go to Thailand for 3 months. So I left the relationship, went to my dad's house to in Delaware to be able to pull myself together, and I wound up staying there for about 10 months, which I'm super grateful for because he really gave me a nice landing pad where I didn't have
Yeah.
to pay for anything, and I could pay off a couple of debts, and was able to save for my trip to go to Thailand. And so um, I didn't share any of this stuff with my family. I just said, I'm gonna go to Thailand for a couple of months, and we'll see. I didn't really see past that because I wasn't sure if I was gonna live. I was like, if I
Right.
die in
I'm trying to
Thailand,
save your
at least
life.
I
I'm
would
trying to save
die.
my life. Yes.
Yeah, if I die in Thailand, I'm gonna die doing what I want to
Yes.
do instead
Yes.
of dying someplace
Ma'am.
where I don't want to be.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Um, and then I said, well, while I'm there, maybe I can find some support in some way. Maybe I can find somebody who can do acupuncture or something. Because I didn't
Something.
know. I had no idea. Really
You
had
just
no
knew you had to
idea.
get out of here. I need to get
Yeah.
out of here. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. And I felt like, maybe the air would be fresher, the food would be cleaner, and it absolutely was. And I went overseas and I connected with a couple of herbalists and shamans who were able to support me in figuring out, number one, um, what is it that I wanted? What am I looking for? As
Okay.
far as my health is concerned, and also what it is that I wanted in my life.
Okay, so pause.
Um,
If you are
uh-huh.
coming in the room, say hi. We did get to say hi to a few people, but if you, I see there are a few people in here. Once you come in, I don't know if you're here unless you speak, unless you come into the room. So thank you for coming in, Amina. Thank you for coming in, Day Marie Inc. Hello, thank you. Um, okay, so pause. So at this time, you left. What is
Hmm.
your, did you have money? How did you said you stayed at your dad's so you can afford, so you can save, right? For
Yeah.
this move. What was your writing life like? What was your business life like at this time?
At this point, I had the business, my freelance writing business, for about 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm super early trying to figure out. I was still trying to figure out the mindset of being a freelancer, of what it means to be able to own your own business, because it's
Yes.
very different from getting up and going to work every day.
Yes.
So I'm learning that, if I don't market my business, I don't find clients. And then, of course, I have all sorts of self-esteem issues. And so I was always just willing to take whoever the lowest bidder was
So
for a
how were you
job. So
finding your people who you were working for? Were you working for, was it freelance magazine writing? Was it freelance? You said clients. How were you finding your clients?
they were all over the place. So some of them were like small, super small, like digital outlets,
Okay.
websites. Some people had small companies. Um, there was a point where I was working. I had found a year-long job with a nonprofit organization where I was writing um, uh, recipes and teaching classes to children in an after-school program, healthy,
Okay.
healthy eating. So,
Okay.
which that was a lot of fun. And that actually helped me later on because I wound up doing a lot of recipe writing for like health and wellness professionals who wanted to put together recipe booklets.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I did that for a handful of people for a while. I probably written a good 30, 40 cookbooks, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Just ghost written,
Come on,
you know.
niche. Come on, get your niche up. Get your niches up. Okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, and in doing all of this, I had developed, I was reading cookbooks from start to finish, like novels. And so when people ask me about how do you know all this stuff about cooking, it's because I've literally given myself a whole culinary education,
Yes.
just through YouTube, reading cookbooks, and practicing. I gave myself places to practice. I had more audacity than what I really give myself credit for when I think about it now. I'm like, how did I learn? I'm in here teaching classes on how to make Turkish food. Now I don't know Turkish people. At that point, never been to Turkey. I didn't know. I just,
Listen.
but because I'd read the books and looked at all the videos, I knew what to do. I knew the language.
Listen, this whole first half an hour is about you being audacious. You just up and moved to listen, about all of this is audacity, okay? Hi, Miss Moore. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Okay, so you cook, you writing recipes, you
Mhm.
teaching Turkish cooking.
Yep.
Without had you been in Turkey? Had you been to
No,
Turkey yet?
at that point, I didn't.
Yes.
Couldn't
Okay.
find it on the map, child.
Yeah.
But I knew that food was good, so I could recreate
Yes.
it in my house.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. So much of this is familiar. Um, so much of this is familiar, but especially the part about my background, how I started writing, my writing career. I had leukemia, right?
Mhm.
I was working with youth. My education background was in the nonprofits, working at Boys and Girls Club. I got like a great job. I love working with the kids. Long story short, was diagnosed with leukemia, right? But I was on this journey, like, no, my journey is get this great job with benefits, right? Get this great job with benefits. Had a little relationship at the time. This is the person I think I'm gonna be with at this time. And buy a house. I was on the track. I was in this house buying program. This is the American dream, right? Got diagnosed, leukemia. I'm like, all right. Still in my mind, I'm like, all right, real quick, we're gonna get this handled, right? I'm gonna come back to this job. So I got the transplant, came back too soon, got sick again, right?
Mhm.
Got sick again. They said some things to me that I thought I would be able to, they said this is what I needed. But once I got sick again, all of these things, my life started going this way, right? So
Mhm.
after I fully recovered, in remission, I'm like, I'm not doing that again, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going back to work. I'm not doing it. I didn't know. I knew I was going to go back to school because earlier I said I hate school, right? So I'm not going back to school. I'm not getting any more education. I don't need any more degrees, but I'm not going back to work. I'm not working myself to death. If I'm going to die, just like you said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And where? If I'm going to die, I'm going to die doing something else, right? I'm not
Mhm.
doing something else. So I always like to write. We're going to get
Mhm.
this writing thing started. So those, again, it was the same catalyst, right? To save my health. Because if I go back to work, I'm gonna be dying slowly every day. If I work for someone,
Absolutely.
even though I love my job, I loved working with the kids, but it was something else has to happen, right?
Mhm.
So we are the same in that way.
Yeah.
Um, and you do have to, it's audacious, like you do have to look at your situation and say, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. Society is telling me I'm doing this, but I don't feel it. You know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
feel it. At the time, there were no people who I saw making a way in writing. Like I had
Yeah.
all my, big time writers who I wanted to be like, but I didn't have a writing community at the time. I'm just going with the
Mhm.
flow.
Mhm.
You moved out of this country to save your life. You didn't know where you were going. You didn't know where you were going to land. Sometimes you have to take that big step, that big leap. So
Mhm.
yeah, feeling it, feeling that audaciousness. But okay, we teaching classes, we
Mhm.
doing cookbooks. What comes next? What comes next?
Yeah, so that was the first couple of years of my business, and when I did full time freelancing, I just just decided to jump on in. I had moved to Florida with the second relationship that I shouldn't have been in, but I did. I moved to Florida, and I did a year of freelancing, and I was writing stuff for literally $9, $10, $25. And in my head, I was like, well, if I can just make $100 a day, $100 a day, that
Wait,
that would
so
be
that's
like,
you were just doing freelancing? You didn't have
yeah,
a regular gig?
nope.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nope. Wasn't doing anything else extra. And I said, if I can make $100 a day, then I can make it. I can make it. I'm making my way in the world on my own. Um, and so that worked for a good year until I realized that I was wearing myself out. And then at that particular time, it just so happened that somebody had come across my website and they said they needed an editor for a project that they were working on at the Department of Education. So my background in
Ah,
education plus
uh-huh.
my writing skills came together, and they said, do you want the job? I said, absolutely, yes.
Yes.
They were paying me $30 an hour. I
Okay.
said, I'm there.
Yes. Yes.
So I did that for
Now.
a year. And with the money that I was able to make from that job, I actually signed up for coaching with somebody that did coaching with freelance writers.
Okay.
And he taught me how to be able to figure out where I fit, particularly in corporate writing for corporations, because that tends to be the most lucrative writing that you can do. Um, and that sort of change. Right now, the everything is up in the air
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the
But at the
economy.
time, yeah.
Yeah. But at the time, working for corporations and just learning how to be able to pitch corporations and figuring out what your particular niche was going to be, he really gave me a foundation for what a lucrative freelance writing
Okay.
um, life
So
could
you
look
can
like.
survive and pay your bills
Right,
on just freelancing, right?
right. So I did that with him for like 4 months. So that
Oh,
by the
okay.
time I got to the end of that particular job that I was doing for $30 an hour, I had a little bit more of an idea of, again, of what it is that I wanted to do. I had the skills, but again, I still hadn't developed the self esteem.
Yeah.
And so I was still afraid to be able to ask for what it is that I deserved. I would finish a job and
Oh,
then I would be
negotiation.
slow.
Negotiating,
Yeah.
you have to learn how to okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how to negotiate, or I was afraid. I was because if I felt like if I negotiated
They
costs,
went,
that they would throw me out. They'd be like, "Oh, she's not serious. She don't want this job." And then so yeah, I would do a job and then I would be slow about handing in the invoice because I felt ashamed. Like I didn't even like I felt like I didn't
oh,
deserve
ma'am. No,
the
I want my
money.
money. No, I want my money. Like, I ain't never been nice. I want my money. If I do it, I want my money. Oh, okay.
But that's just demonstrates how low my self-esteem was.
Wow.
I
Okay.
had really low self-esteem. I didn't know. I didn't know. I had the skills. He taught me the skills. He taught me how to do it. But then, you have to have the self-esteem to be able to follow through on what it is that was being taught. So to answer your earlier question, by the time I finally went to Thailand, I was probably, three or 4 years into my business. I
Okay.
probably had about maybe $2,000 in savings, and I had maybe one or two clients. It wasn't like I wasn't super successful.
Audacious. You went to Thailand. You went to Thailand on $2,000
I sure did.
for 3 months. You was going. Wait a minute.
I was gonna go for three, and to be honest, I stopped off in Dubai, and you know how expensive Dubai can be.
Yes. Right. Wait,
Stopped
wait, wait,
off in
wait. Back
Dubai.
up. Was your plan to work while you were over there, or you were planning to
Yes,
survive?
yeah. My
Okay.
I
Okay.
had clients. It wasn't like I
Okay.
was going to just do 3 months with
Okay.
no
But
money
still.
coming in.
All right.
I
Okay.
still had clients and things that client projects, but as far as what I had in savings,
Yeah.
it was the $2,000. I did a stop off in Dubai for a couple weeks, just on a layover, and then I went to Thailand and trying to figure out my way there.
Okay.
Um, and Thailand was good because Thailand is a super, I hate calling it cheap, but it was super affordable place to be
Affordable.
able to live. Very
Mm-hmm.
affordable place to live. And at
It
that
still
time,
is. We know some people who are over there now because it's so affordable. Yes.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so my first apartment there was, I think it was about 200 or 250 US dollars a month. So, and it was in the middle of everything. I wound up finding an apartment that was like in the middle of this village outside of Chiang Mai.
Oh, so you were
No,
good.
it
two
was in
thousand
Chiang Mai.
dollars in savings if your rent is $200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
But remember, I went to Dubai, and so probably half that money was gone by the time I got. So I really in Thailand, I had $1,000 plus these couple of little piddly clients that I was working with that really weren't paying me a whole lot.
Okay. Got you.
So yeah, so I worked it out that way, and in the middle of me being um trying to figure out what I'm doing in Thailand and realizing that I was like, oh, I can see myself being out here. Like I can do more than what I thought that I could actually do. So the 3 months turned into 6 months, and I wound
Mm-hmm.
up running into um, one herbalist who told me about his track record with working with other people who had serious illnesses like cancer, AIDS, and all sorts of other
Oh,
things.
okay. Okay.
And so that I was like, well, if he can help them, then certainly
You can help
he
fibroids.
can
Right.
help me figure whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. I was so willing to surrender everything to a stranger. I was like, whatever you got, just give it to me. I'm willing to participate. Just
Yes.
help me. I just
Yes.
need to feel better in my body.
Yes.
Hmm.
So
And
immediately
so,
when you got there, when you were talking about diets and stuff, like I know the food immediately.
mhm.
I know you noticed the difference. You travel. You're a
Oh,
traveler.
absolutely.
So how did you connect with the herbalist? Where did you find him?
It was by accident. I had got there in Chiang Mai in Thailand. There was a weekly gathering of Black travelers that would happen. I think they
Okay.
probably do it monthly now, but back then we would meet every week, and we met at a particular restaurant, and he just happened to be there at that day, and I had just happened to sit at the end of the table that he was sitting at, and I was just overhearing everything that he was saying. And I basically kind of begged him for a consultation because he doesn't work with everybody.
Right.
He's one of
Okay.
those, I live in the mountains, don't bother me type of people. You just happen to catch me on the day that I came out. We were at a vegan restaurant because he's vegan. And every once in a blue moon, he would come out into the city, to be able to have a meal outside.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
back at his place in the mountains.
So you didn't. So you didn't seek him out. You met him coincidentally. Okay.
Yeah, I just happened to meet him by accident. And it just felt, I went by feeling. I was starting to learn how to trust my intuition. And so I went by feeling. It felt good to be able to talk to him. It felt like he knew what he was talking about. And it was really just a matter of meeting him. We set up a date for the consultation. We met in person. He told me about all the herbs and things that I would have to take, and I would have to be on a fruit-based diet. And
Okay.
again, I'd known all of these things in my head. I had taught myself all of these
So he
things
said
before,
fruit
but
based and not fruit and vegetable based, just fruit based diet.
well, and to him, fruit meant anything with seeds. So I was able to
Okay,
eat
got you.
things like eggplants and tomatoes and
Okay.
cucumbers, um, because those are usually high water based,
Okay.
which actually cleans out a lot of the stuff that's in the body that needs to be removed. Um, and I had learned all this stuff before when I was, doing all of my self education.
Right. So it wasn't foreign to you. You didn't meet him. You
Hmm.
felt like it was, I guess, serendipitous for you to meet
Hmm.
him and have this knowledge, and it felt
Hmm.
right to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I had all the knowledge, and it was just a matter. I needed support. A lot of people don't. They when you do things on your own, you really need somebody to be able to stop you, because your emotions start to take over,
Yeah.
and you wind up self sabotaging. Like
Okay.
this man did more, probably mind work with me, than anybody else that I had ever
Yeah.
met. Certainly any
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah.
Doctors will barely say hi to you when they come in. They take your vitals, and then they're like, the nurse will be back, and
Yes.
give you a prescription, and that's it.
And that's it.
But this gentleman, he really worked with me on my mindset. He got into details of, family stuff, of why I was choosing the relationships that I was in. And
He was
it
therapist,
was a lot.
nutritionist. He was
He did
your
everything.
guru.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stuff
You
that
found
I
it.
didn't
Look, when
pay
I got
him
sick,
for.
I was looking for Dr. Sebe, right? I'm like, oh, I need to go. I need to go to the compound.
Mhm.
I need to go because he gonna put me right naturally, right? But your parents, everybody's scared. They scaring you, and so you need to get this surgery. But I wanted to go this way. You found your Dr. Sebe, right?
I did.
You
I
did.
really did.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
I did. And I'm so grateful. Like, I sometimes I sit and I think about it. Just how I found this man by accident. He is a black man, by the way, black man from the UK.
Black
And
man from
I
the
just
UK in Chiang Mai.
uh-huh by accident. Like, what is this?
Angels, angels. Listen,
Mhm.
angels. But okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you. I'm
And
gonna
he
stop
he
interrupting you.
connected me to a group of other black males who were also in Chiang Mai, who were
Hmm.
working as shaman, and doing energy work and doing massage therapy. And all of these men really supported me at a time when, I wasn't trusting of men, particularly black men at
Wow,
all.
wow.
And this is what showed up for me.
Yes, these are the people
Um,
who were surrounding you with love and healing and support. Black men in Chiang Mai. Like
mhm,
that's crazy. Wow.
yeah. And
And
then
with
they
the
didn't
knowledge
want
and with
anything
the
from me
yes,
beyond seeing that I got better. That was it.
yes, yes. Love
And
that
that
for
was
you.
that was all they wanted. And so sometimes I get emotional just sitting and thinking about how, just by accident, all of the, seemingly by accident, all of this stuff happened. Had I not met him that day, I probably wouldn't be here. My life would
Mhm.
not have changed in this way,
Mhm.
because I would not have had the support that I needed. I told him that I wanted to be able to reconnect with my creativity again, because I felt like I couldn't write. I used to have all these big ideas for things I wanted to write and projects that I wanted to work on, but I couldn't connect to it anymore. I couldn't find it. And he said, just keep working. He helped me to start a meditation practice, which made no sense to me in the beginning. No sense. Made no sense. I was like, what is it? Why am I sitting here? He would just follow your thoughts. What does that mean? What, like, for a good year, I would just sit in meditation for literally 1 to 2 minutes, because that was all
That's
the
all
attention
your
that I
brain can
could get.
handle. 1 to 2 minutes. Yes.
No, I couldn't. Like, what are we doing in here? He just follow your thoughts. And he really wouldn't give me much more explanation than that. And so it took me a long time to be able to get that. Now I'm teaching
Wow.
meditation, and can sit in meditation for 2 hours.
Yes. Yes. But the healing came through this. The writing, you had to do
Hmm.
this. The writing came through this, right? Through you healing
Yeah.
yourself, you taking care of yourself. You had to get through this
Yeah.
to get to the other side, right? To get to your creativity, to
Hmm.
tap into your creativity, you had to cleanse all of
Absolutely.
this inside, physically, spiritually, mentally, right? All of that had to
Hmm.
be handled and worked through so that you could open up your muse, right? So that you can
Hmm.
touch that part of yourself.
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
though you had
And I
the talent
actually
was there,
started
it was
to,
blocked.
yeah, it was all blocked. And I started to, while we were working together, probably 3 months into us working together. We were only supposed to work together for 3 months. It wound up being 6 months that we worked together. So probably around 1, 3, or 4, I started to write down things. I was like, I would have dreams and be told, it felt like something was being tapped. I got visits from my grandmother, who was telling me things. Like she would tell, like my grandmother, she has schizophrenia when she was here. And so she would tell me things like, I'm living through you, like I'm seeing life through you. Keep going. You're
Mm,
you're doing something here. And I
yes.
would write down, I would wake up like 3 or 4 in the morning. I would write down what it is that I was hearing or what it is that I was feeling. I would get messages from my mom who had already had passed on,
Yes.
and just like I never see her, but I knew her. Like I can feel her. I never hear words, but I was starting to feel her presence. Like I knew she would show up in a dream because
Yes.
of how I felt. And that was a level of just being able to connect to my own spirituality that I didn't have before. And that was how I started to really learn that all of this stuff was working.
Right, because this
And
is you're having these experiences while
mhm,
you are fasting, right? During the
yeah,
fast. Mhm.
hmm,
Mhm.
yeah. So it was a really just a beautiful experience of stuff, being cleared out and learning new things about myself. And by the time I had gotten to the end of the 6 months, um, I really felt like I was a whole new person. And I remember writing down that I felt I said I don't remember really feeling so whole and complete. Like I just like I couldn't say that before. I felt like a whole and complete person,
Mm.
by the time I had gotten to it. And I was just really excited about moving forward with my life and, just figuring out what was out there in the world. I had always wanted to travel the world, and I was like,
Yes.
it's time for me to be able to move on. I wanted to be able to stay because, it was comfortable. I wanted to stay around the community that I, had already created with these people who had done so much more than what I had paid them to do to be
Yes.
able to get me well.
So much more than you
Um,
thought was possible, right? You
yeah,
you
I,
you
I didn't know.
you were just trying to get physically well, but
Yeah.
this experience changed your life in a whole new different way.
Hmm. Absolutely. Opened up my spirituality in ways that I didn't know was possible. And so what I learned was that I needed to be able to figure out, well, what does it mean to be the new me? Like, what does that look like? And being able to travel, I had space to be able to figure that out.
Yes.
I didn't feel hard pressed to be able to make $1 million in a freelance writing business or to be able to pay the mortgage of the car.
Right.
Um, and I had space to just be able to go see new things. I went to Cambodia and I went to, Angkor Wat, which is where all of the ancient temples are. I absolutely loved it there. Like if I could have moved in one of these temples, I would have,
Yeah.
because it's so beautiful. And just to be able to tap into the energy there, I could feel stuff for the
Yes.
first time in my life. And that
Yes.
was part of the reason why I had gained so much weight, is because I was eating to kill my feelings, to not be able to feel grief, to not be able to feel that I'm in a relationship that doesn't feel good to me.
Mhm.
And I would, I hate my job, and I would just eat that all making pancakes at literally 1 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing?
But that's what people we have to get into this because it took you to feel wrong and that you needed
Hmm.
something else to leave here. But then once
Hmm.
you were there, you didn't know what you were there for, right? But it
Yeah.
took you to consciously make a decision that I'm going to not only do this fast and work with this man, but push myself to do more than I expected to do,
Mm-hmm.
more than I intended to do. So we're talking about how you got to the other side, but what you just said, like, I'm just eating my feelings. I hate my job. I'm just coping, right?
Yeah.
It's still what Black women, Black and brown women do now, wherever you are, because everybody has to get up. This is what life is, isn't it? You just have to keep going, right? What doesn't kill you make you stronger. All of this toxic bullcrap, right, that we intake and we digest and we believe is true is because you don't think that you can make another choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that it's possible to make another choice. Y'all, it is possible to make another choice. It is possible
Absolutely.
to pull yourself out to see. This is what to see down the line. This is where I headed. This is where I'm headed. I don't want to go that way. Even if you don't have a plan, if you do one little thing, it's going to lead you to the choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're
Right.
experiencing all these new things. You are in any country that you went to. Cambodia. You're in Cambodia experiencing that for the first time in a whole wellness space.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you just didn't take the leap, right? Didn't leave
Yeah.
here. Where would you have been had you stayed in the US?
I think dead, really, for me, where I was.
Yeah.
I would not be alive. I really believe that.
Or
I
in
really
another
do.
failed relationship, right? Or in
Mhm.
another, just yes.
Just repeating the same pattern and not
Yes.
understanding why I'm doing it. Because,
Yes.
nobody ever taught you how to do it.
Yes. Yes. And you didn't see work. So I'm putting words in your mouth. Did you see, were you working from a place of you saw other people doing it, you said I can do it too, or you were just moving on intuition?
I was moving on intuition. I had a belief that there was something on the other side because I was like life is not supposed to be this hard.
Yes.
Like it's not. It's just like
Yes.
why do I feel like a failure all the time? Like I did all the things. Like I did. I went to school.
Check.
I graduated.
Check.
I got married.
Check.
And we keep trying to be successful, like trying to buy a house, but it never worked out. And of course, it
Yes.
didn't work out because we weren't meant to be together.
Yes.
We kept trying to put together all of these future plans. I was trying to put together the future plans, and he was just like, whatever. He's run off doing his own thing. Um, but I couldn't understand why it wasn't working because all the women in my family that I had ever seen had always done the same thing.
And it looked
Um,
like it worked for them, right?
yeah, at
Yeah.
least as far as I thought,
Yeah.
from what I saw, it looked
Right.
like it worked. But then I realized that's part of the reason why your mom died of cancer at 49 years old is because she never got a chance to look at the fact that she suffered with childhood abuse, or that she had a mother with mental illness and basically raised herself.
Right.
You just make all of these decisions that sort of pile on top of one another, and you never went to a therapist or anyone else to be able to support you in trying to
Yes.
create a life
And
that's
you're
better than
still
that.
getting up trying to function. It's
Yeah,
it's it's working dysfunction is what I call it. Like you're still,
yeah, absolutely.
people call it surviving and not thriving, but it's working. We're working from a lack, right? You're
Hmm.
surviving from lack.
Hmm.
How do you do that if you're already depleted? What are you pulling from? What are you pulling
Right.
up from to get up to go somewhere? What are you pulling from to take care of your kid? What if you're operating from this? You have nothing left to give. I have nothing left to give. Like, where are
Yeah,
you pulling
absolutely.
your strength from? You know what I mean? You have to we have to make better choices for ourselves, right?
Hmm.
And I know
Absolutely.
y'all here. I know some of y'all are here to talk about writing. This is all part of that. This is all part of that. Because, baby, if you are not well within your spirit, within your soul, you cannot function. You can't. What are you writing about, right? What are you
What are
writing
you
about?
writing about? Nothing. There's nothing to write about.
And it will turn into feeling like a job, right?
Hmm.
When you don't feel complete and full and cared for yourself, if you don't make your priority, even if you do have a freelancing job, freelancing career, it's going to feel like a job, right?
Hmm.
So, okay,
Absolutely.
you are traveling. Well, how many countries has your writing talents allowed you to live? Where have you been?
10 countries. So I've been to, I went back to Dubai, Dubai and a couple of other cities twice. So I've been to the United Arab Emirates twice. I've lived in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Rwanda, Uganda, Turkey, and Mexico now.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
you
those are the 10 countries. I've never had another job, you
and
know,
you've never
you
been
know,
back. You didn't have to come back here to the States?
no. At the end of the pandemic, I did go home for a month just to, just say hello and check in on family and see how folks were doing. But I never went back home. I didn't desire to come back. I felt like I had to do something. I was doing something that my family didn't really get. And
Got you.
going back would have just been disruptive
Yes.
to what I was doing.
Yes. I get that
Um,
now. Aren't don't you need a job? When are you going back to work? Like, how are you surviving? How are you paying your rent? Da, 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 da. I understand, baby. Yes.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was working on
And then come
myself.
back for what? I was sick and dying. Like, what do y'all want me to come back to? Sick and dying. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I didn't get. I only came back, and by the time I had gone back, I felt like I was stable enough in myself in defining who I am and what I wanted to be, that I felt like I could go back for a short amount of time, um, and not feel like I would be betraying myself
Right.
in any way.
Right.
Um, and so, but really, in the last few years, I've gotten more bold in how it is that I'm working my business. I've gotten better at asking for more money and getting into bigger corporations, and finding where I can find the money that I wanted to be able to make, to be able to make more money so that I can have savings and do other things. And so that has really been nice for me to be able to do. I have more self esteem now that I can count on, so that I'm able to ask for more money. I work with bigger corporations, and even now, like within the past year, I'm starting to pitch magazines. I've always wanted to pitch magazines. That, with all the food writing that I've done, I should be having columns in all the best food
Food,
magazines.
all of net magazines. Yes. Yes. Especially now. That's all people want to talk about. That's all. Listen, yes.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a while when magazines were not, a lot of magazines were closing, so it made more sense to do the corporate writing.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I did that, because I learned a lot about content marketing. I learned about negotiating rates, figuring out what marketing is in general, so that I can do that for myself. Now I learned a really strong skill set as a writer by working with
Right.
corporations, and doing content writing.
And your
Um,
portfolio, but that's another niche that you built up, right?
mhm.
Your LinkedIn is crazy. Like, I don't even have a LinkedIn, but I do, I do freelance work. I'm like, I listen, your LinkedIn is crazy, but that time, how long? What, about 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years that
Yeah.
I've had the business so far.
Yeah. So, and most of that was you were doing technical writing, you were doing content marketing, right?
Yeah, mostly content writing, but I've done technical writing. I've done food writing. I've done UX writing.
Right.
Um, I've done
You done
all
ghost
sorts
writing
of
for
whatever.
cookbooks? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I've written a couple. Yeah, I've written in a couple of chapters of textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all sorts of things, and I've always taught myself how to do them.
Yes.
The opportunities would show up, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm available. And I'll tell them this is what I know how to do, and really I just learn stuff on the job. So that's really important. I want writers to know you're not going to always know how to do everything, but just have the confidence to be able to figure it out. There's, always some sort of a tutorial online. You can teach yourself how to do a lot of these things. You just need the basic, can you write? Do you know how to write a basic sentence? Spelling and grammar, of course, is always important. But don't think that because you've never written in a certain area that that is somehow barred. You can learn the skills. There's places for you. You can take short classes. Go to on Udemy and take these short classes in a couple weeks, and you can be a pro. It's not hard. You got to want to learn how to learn. Learning how to learn has been really important in my freelance writing career.
So I'm glad you brought this up. So people, first of all, if you are in the room, when you come into the room, speak. I do see we have allowed a few people in here. I don't know if you're here unless you say hi in the chat. We thank you all for joining us. So the tip so far is, right, be audacious, try. If you feel something, if your intuition is telling you to do something, especially to save your life, do it. But in the writing world, she's giving you all these tips, right? She has built up her career, but she did start small. So today, though, I would like to ask you, for people who don't have a portfolio, right, and don't have a huge LinkedIn, if they want to be writers, where do you suggest that they start? How do you suggest that they start?
There are so many places for you to be able to write, starting with medium.com. Figure out what you want to write about and write about it. Start there. There are, medium.com. You can go on LinkedIn. There's a space for you to start your own newsletter and to be able to write your own articles there. Those are two excellent places to be able to post your own work. And it always looks professional.
Yes.
Some places are going to say no to you because you're a beginner, but keep looking for those places who will accept it. Write the best that you absolutely know how to do, and then just start pitching people. When I started pitching, corporations, I went on LinkedIn first. I would connect with the content marketing head departments, or just the general marketing departments of tech companies. I would say, hey, do you work with freelance writers? And I would start the relationship from there.
And we know cold pitching. We know cold pitching is a hesitant thing to think about, right? We know. I don't want to say scary. I don't want to put that, but cold pitch, right? If you have nothing to lose and this is what you want to do, start there. You have no connections, but I'm thinking people have connections. You might not think this is some person, like if somebody is starting their small business, they don't have time to think about their marketing. Meet someone on the level that you are at, right? And build a relationship with them there, right? So that cold pitch doesn't have to be intimidating because they're not a big corporation. They're just starting their business. Get in that way. There are other ways you can think about people who are doing parties or hosting gatherings. They want marketing. They want to promote their event. Start with those people, right? It doesn't have to be an intimidating big business, but if you have pitching experience or if you're not scared, go ahead. Start your LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn, start pitching, like she said, to corporations who have the money to pay you what they need, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And even if you have friends who have small businesses or the small businesses in your area, there's always a gathering of small business owners through, the Chamber of Commerce in whatever city it is that you live in, if you live in the States. And they usually meet monthly to probably twice a month at the most. That's a great place for you to go to just start meeting and just saying, hey, I'm a new writer. I need to be able to, do you need blog posts or, what you want to do? The first 3 or so, 3 to 5 could be for free, just to be able to show them what you could do. And then you can start asking for pay.
I'm a disagree with her with that voice. Even if you're starting, I would say show them an example or what you can do.
Yes.
And then give them your prices. Right?
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't have, I would say start there, like write a spec, say, okay, I see you need this. This is what I'm able to do for you. To see, to start that communication, to open up that
Mhm.
communication so they can see that you can write, that you are able to deliver what they're asking for or what they need. Sometimes they don't even know what they need until you
Yeah.
put it down on paper. So, show them something like that, start a relationship that way. Yeah.
Mhm. And that actually, people are usually really scared to be able to do that. So that's really a great muscle for you to be able to build up in the beginning.
Yes.
And so when I say you can pitch these smaller companies in the beginning, this is for people who absolutely have nothing. You've never written anything before. Once you have, two or three pieces, you can start charging.
Yes.
Yeah, you can start charging and move on. You do the first couple of pieces just to be able to build your confidence a little bit, to have something to be able to show. It's been posted online or wherever it is that they printed it, and it's a confidence booster.
Yes. And it's
Hmm.
building your portfolio.
Yeah, put it all in your portfolio, and every time you get a new something that you've written, you take the old one out, you put the new one in.
Yes. So, okay, so you're out in the world, you're traveling, you are you writing for your clients? Are you writing for international clients, or are they still US based at this point?
Mostly they are US based, but I've had clients, mostly technology clients in Canada and the UK.
Okay. Okay. So, your decision not to come back to the States and to believe that you can you can create a profitable business
Hmm.
career without coming back here. Did you consciously think that was going to happen, or did it just happen by happenstance? Right? Were you out in the world like, I'm just not coming back? You were making money.
Hmm.
Yeah. How did you? What was your decision to stay out of the United States and still work with clients who were here?
Yeah, I just felt good. I felt good in my body for the first time. I felt good. It was exciting to be in other countries and hearing other languages and trying new foods and going to markets and experimenting with cooking at home. I felt healthy. It was easy for me to be able to be healthy overseas, and feel like I was on an adventure. When you're in a relationship where you feel like your life is just being taken away from you all the time, and you finally get a taste of freedom when you go to another country, you're just like, yeah, yeah, this is it. What do I need to go to States for? Like, what?
For what? For what? You understand? For
What?
what? I'm making money. I'm making money, and I'm able to keep some in my pocket because I'm not in the States. That's number one.
Mhm.
But you said you feel healthy. You were healthy and whole. You were
Yes.
healthy and whole, right? And
Hmm.
that's the platform that you were standing on.
Yeah.
So why change it? Why come back here?
Yeah. What for? If I was very clear that the people that I was connected to in the States, friends and family, both included, many of them are miserable. What do I need to go back over there for? And we couldn't relate on what it is that we were talking about. They would say one thing, and I would be over here looking at it from the bright side, and they were like, "Oh, there she goes with all that positivity."
But you're exploring the world, right? You're
Mhm.
still making money. You're still doing what you love, right?
Mhm.
From a holistic place. And you didn't stop. You didn't say, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't go live my life until
Mhm.
this happens," right? You're doing
Yeah.
it at the same time.
All of it at the same time. And that's why I say I really freelance writing for me is really just the ideal career. I don't see myself doing anything else. I've there have been a lot of people online that I have followed, and they'll start different types of businesses, and then they want to have an office someplace, and that's not me. It just isn't. It just doesn't fit me. I will never want that. I'm 47 years old. I feel pretty comfortable. And in the next 10 to 20 years, I'm probably never going to have an office anywhere. I really love the flexibility and the freedom that I have in being a freelancer. I love it. I love it. I love being a freelancer, and I love being able to um, now be able to share some of the writing lessons that I've been doing and creating on my own, and be able to share it with other people who want writing careers too.
So let's get to that part. Glad you brought that up. That was a natural progression to what we're going to get into. But I first want to point out that I said it earlier when we were off screen. I aspire to be you, right? Right now, I have time freedom. That's what I got. I don't have financial freedom. I don't have location freedom. I got time freedom because I am a freelancer, right? And I have not, I'm looking at jobs, but I don't have a job, right? So I have time freedom. But you have location, time, and financial freedom as a writer, living as an expat, a digital nomad in the world. Um, it can be done, right? So right
Mhm.
now, we are going to talk about how um, Miss Black can help you get there too, right? Can help you live the writing. Just we're going to start by the writing, right? We're going to start by how you can establish your writing routine, how you can get into a community of Black women writers, how she can support you on your journey to being a writer. All right. So you have built up your portfolio, you have all this experience, you decide I want to share this with other writers, right? What was the what was the reason why you made this coaching shift?
Because I feel like I had learned enough to be able to share with others. I feel like I have something to be able to say. Like I have ideas for new books that I want to be able to write based
Mm-hmm.
on what I've experienced in the last 6 years. And I'm in a space. I've been very particular about keeping to myself the last for the first 5 years that I was gone from the United States. Just because I just want to give myself time and space to just be with myself. Um, and then when I moved to Mexico, I said I wanted to purposely work on connecting with other people, Black women in particular, who want to do something similar to what I have created for myself. I want to
Yes.
be able to talk about my health journey. I want to be able to talk about one of the phrases that I write in my um, newsletter is let's go live a life worth writing about. And so just that decision of what that in particular looks like. And then also just supporting other people who want to be able to be writers. And so I have several things, several ways that I do that. One of them is, doing podcasts like I'm doing with Yvonne, just talking about my own personal journey and being able to share with people, which I really enjoy. I love being on podcasts. But every Wednesday morning, usually every Wednesday morning, I meet at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with a group of Black women writers, newbie writers, and some of them are professional writers. Some of them have already published already. And we do. It's called our Wednesday and AM Meditative Writing Circle. And we start off with a short meditation just to be able to center the space. And then I usually show up with some sort of a theme. Last week, or this just this past week, was our first meeting of the year, and we were talking about living in our own joy. And I
Yes.
used a poem to be able to demonstrate that, and I use that as a way to be able to create journal writing questions. And so I usually come with 3 questions, and we have some time to be able to sit and write and think about what it means to be joyful um, for ourselves as Black women and the lives that we want. And what I want to come from that is for people to think about. Number one, you have a lot of writing material to be able to pull from through the many different stages of your life.
Yes.
um, and to be able to talk about it at the same time, you will realize that your words land, how your words land with other people matters, particularly other Black women. Because a lot of times, I think a lot of us, we write in our journals or we have thoughts at home, and we're like, well, nobody cares. Nobody's going to think that this is
You
important.
are living the same lives. What you are going
Hmm.
through, somebody in this world,
Hmm.
somebody is going through the same thing. And they want to, one, feel like they're not alone. And
Hmm.
two, they want to see that somebody can, if they get through it or just work it out together. Like if
Yeah.
you you're in these, I'm assuming in these, because it's on Wednesday and it's early. I don't get up till 10. So I haven't made the group yet, but I'm assuming that you all get in there and you're talking about, once do your journal writing, you're talking about the issues. So someone too is can relate to what you're going through and help you work out all the kinks, all the
Yeah.
hesitation, all the fears. Like, you need community. This is about
Hmm.
community,
Yeah.
establishing community. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just want a space for people to write. Just like, can we just sit down
Yes.
and write? It's not about, whether or not you went to college to go learn how to write. It's not about whether or not you know how to write the questions. Do you know how to write, perfectly? Or, do you belong to a certain way of thinking about writing? We don't
It's
really
free
care.
writing.
Let's just
It's free writing.
let's just
Yeah.
write.
Yeah. And I
I
put the
don't care if
link.
you have an English degree. None of
Yes.
that matters.
Yes. Yes. I
You
put
know,
the link to join the meditative writing group in the chat, is
hmm
also under this video. If you have free time on Wednesdays and you want to connect with some women writers, do that. The
yeah.
Aqua Black Nomad Kiyoka is in the chat, and she says it is so important because most people do not make time to write.
hmm
Yes.
Yeah, and so when I explained earlier how I have felt disconnected to my own creativity, so this is my way of being able to give back now. Now that I have found my own creativity, I feel like it's my responsibility to come back and support other people who want to be able to connect to their creativity as well. So it's just an hour, one day a week. You can come in and write and say nothing, and then there are other people who want to always share, and that's, either one is fine. I'm glad to have you there. I just want people to connect to their own creativity and write something.
So I
um
promised in
mhm.
the introduction, I promised that this video would show you how to tap into your muse, that she was going to show you how to do that. This is number one way that she is sharing how to connect to your writing talents, how to pull them out of you. Um, yeah, the
Mhm.
Wednesday meditative writing group. Tap in. She's opened up a safe space for you. She's hosting and holding a safe space for you to do this. So this is
Mhm.
one way. Great.
Yeah, and then from that, for people who want to do more, and sometimes people, they want to do more. They have book ideas. They want to be able to write memoirs. My focus is really on memoir and nonfiction. I haven't really gotten into the fiction space as of yet. Um, but memoir and business books, self help books. A lot of people have coaching businesses or just businesses of their own, and they want to be able to share their story in a book, and they don't know where to start. And so I have a class coming up. Starts on January 14th. It's called the Writing Ritual, and it's a 6 week writing accountability group. We always start the year off saying, "Girl, I'm gonna write this book. We're gonna write it. We're gonna get it done." And then March, June, September, and we ain't written nothing yet. So wouldn't it be awesome to be able to have a group where we meet for 90 minutes and we sit down, we spend the first half hour. I'm available as an author coach to be able to support you in answering any questions that you have about writing your book.
Yes.
We get clear on what your writing goals are and what you want to accomplish during the 6 weeks. So you actually can start off with some level of clarity. Some people, when they write a book, they start off chapter one, and they don't know where they're going. and they get lost, and then they start feeling like, well, I'm just not a writer. I can't write. Books are not for me. And really, you just need somebody to hold your hand through the process. And so really, this is what the writing ritual is for.
So I do not make the early morning meditative writing circles, but I did get a chance to dip into your spine. When you did your spine workshop, your
Mm-hmm.
free spine workshop, you were talking about this basically, how to format, right? How to
Yeah.
get you to format what you want to write about, think about what you want to write about. And I think it was the spine, you use the acronym of spine,
Mm-hmm.
structure, purpose. I forgot what I
Mm-hmm.
inspiration,
Insight,
insight.
narrative, and execution.
Yes. Yes. So these are the things that you laid out to help people figure out what they want to write about first and
Mm-hmm.
what the narrative is going to be about, what you want to have your book about. Now, she said
Absolutely.
not into fiction right now, but if you, especially, I hope you all are here, people who be calling me, talk about, you need to write my story. You need to, I don't, listen here. I have my own projects that I'm trying to complete, that I have started and trying to complete. If you think that your life is so lit that people need to read about it, you need to be in this class. You need to be in this
Mm-hmm.
class because she's gonna teach you how to write your memoir or your autobiography that you so desperately want people to read. This is the class you need to be in. So in this, the first one, the first half, what will you be teaching the people aside from the spine method of figuring out
Mm-hmm.
what their book is about?
Yeah, so we're figuring out what it is we want to write. First of all, are you doing a how-to? Is this a memoir? Is this an autobiography? Is this this a general business book? It could be any myriad of things. But to make those decisions before you start writing will actually cut down all of the extra, mind wandering that we do in the writing process.
Right.
Um, I'll help you to figure out a general outline that you can follow during the 6 weeks of us writing together. And then, of course, you'll have, time and space to be able to ask questions if you happen to come, if you have problems during the 6 weeks. The first 30 minutes of our time together, you'll be able to ask those questions. And of course, everything is always recorded, so you can always go back to it. And then we have actual, like, sit your butt in the chair and write for an hour. So what we'll do is 20 minutes, like the Pomodoro method. 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes. We'll take 20 minutes. We'll sit down and write, see how it goes, take a 5-minute break, do another 20 minutes, and then we'll do that again for a third time. And what that does is it helps for you to be able to develop a pattern,
Okay.
a system of just sitting down to write, even if it's just the one day a week. That's better than,
No.
I'll get to it,
Yeah.
whenever, and once you get started, you'll find that you just have to keep going. It's going to feel addictive to be able to feel accomplished in your writing, and you'll want to be able to get towards the end of the goal of actually hitting the publish button when you get to the end of it. So 6 weeks, we're starting off with the 6 weeks. If I have enough people, I would love to be able to have a group where we can go throughout the year to be able to doing it. But this is my first time doing this for the 6 week accountability group. So I'm really excited about it, and I would really love to have more people, more Black women, come and join us in the circle.
And how big is the circle? How many people are you accepting?
I would love to have up to 10,
Okay. Great.
women. So
That's
I
a
have
good,
a
that's a
couple
good
right
amount.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we start on Tuesday.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of the circle. If it's a very nominal fee. It's $120 for that level of support
For
um,
6 weeks,
for
y'all.
6 weeks. That's a very nominal fee. I've seen some that could be, as much as $1,000.
Listen, they could be more because you basically, well, let me ask this question. They're writing, you're giving them time to write. Are they looking at is it a workshop? Are they looking at each other, right? Are they sharing with their writing, or they're just focused on finding their voice, getting to the habit of
Mhm.
writing, creating a
Yeah.
routine?
It's more so of us being able to get into a group, and being able to write. There's absolutely nothing that's stopping people. Um, there's nothing that's stopping people from getting together and saying, "Hey, can you read my stuff and I'll read your
Yes,
stuff?" And
yes,
with there's space in the group for you to be able to do that as well.
yes. But I find that even in free groups, but it even in groups like this, especially 10, when you
Hmm.
have other people trying to reach the goal, it naturally happens, right? It naturally
Right.
happens that you're sharing stories, that you're working out the kinks with each other. So
Hmm.
it's creating the community. She's creating this community for you all, to establish your writing pattern, to brainstorm your ideas, to get the ideas down on paper. Finally, if you haven't done that, if you have some stuff that you want to rework, to edit, this is for that. This is 6 weeks dedicated time that you don't even have to make the schedule. She makes the schedule for you. Here it is. If
Hmm.
you can't find the time, here's the schedule. Just show up. All you have to do is show up to get it done. If writing or starting or finishing your book, your whatever it is, your self-help book, your memoir, your cookbook, right? If that is the plan for this year, this is the class for you. And
Hmm.
like Kiyoka has said, it's a very good, especially for 6 weeks. Yes, especially. So you have the free.
Hmm.
If you want a free circle, you don't know, what you want to write, but you want to try to write Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, she's here for you. If you got something you're working on, if you've been thinking about something, this 6 week program for a nominal fee, right? Of 120, you
Right.
said
$120. That's it.
$120. This is for you. So
Hmm.
if you have a book, if you have some chapters, if you have already started writing, do you have something for those
Absolutely.
people? Tell them about it. Tell
Yeah,
the
if you've
people.
already started something, well, this group is for people who are just starting. And if you've already, if you have some stuff and you're not sure, you can do the 6 week accountability group. Now, for people who know that they need a bit more support, and they're ready to invest, I know what I'm doing here. I have a bit more on the line, and I need some support. Um, you can do the 6 week training program, and I will also read up to 30 pages of your manuscript. And that costs um, for that is $750. So you'll get eyes of a professional on the work that you've already done. I generally charge $1,000 per month of support to be able to work with me in that way. So for $750, you're getting the 6 weeks of support. Plus, I'm reading your work. Plus, we're going back and forth in the chat and the email, talking about your individual problems, about what's going on with your manuscript. So
So this
I'm
is the
putting
book
myself out
coaching.
there.
This is the book coaching, right? This is one-on-one,
Say that again.
one-on-one. I said this is the book coaching. This is one-on-one coaching, in-depth editing, right? You're just making suggestions, you're giving feedback. This is one-on-one. That's still a great fee. Just like she said, she usually charges 1,000 for 30 pages. Listen here. Yes, that is an excellent fee. This is for more seasoned people who have something, have you been working on something? You have a few chapters, you want somebody to look at it. It's a book coach. This is, we have
Hmm.
all levels for you here, right? If
Hmm.
this is your
Yeah.
goal, if this is on your vision board for this year, she gonna get you right. Free,
Hmm.
nominal fee,
Absolutely.
in-depth book coaching, all at,
Hmm.
you know, doable prices.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. It's the community, I believe, that matters. A lot of us are missing a community to be able to help us to focus. If we had a
Mhm,
bit of more of a community to help us to focus around our writing goals, we would accomplish a lot more. Like even in
mhm.
the ladies that do my free group, I'm hearing that, how much journaling they're doing on their own, or
Yes.
how much, there was something that they've written about and they're just spending more time on whatever their joy is looking like. They're following through on what it is that they're writing. And that makes me so happy. There was a couple of the ladies, one lady lives in New York and one lady lives in Maryland, and they met each other during the holiday break.
Mm-hmm.
They met up with each other, had a day, went to a museum, had some lunch. Beautiful. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see that. I love to be able to see that. And so now this class is really a way for me to be able to work with the people who really want to be able to write a book that's been sitting on their heart for years, and they're ready to be able to put their words out into the world, to be able to hit the publish button, to be able to. You become a different person when you know that when you're a writer and you're writing and sharing your story with people. You become a different person. And I just want more Black women to embody more of the person that they know that they are, but they've been afraid to. Um, just take the time to nurture yourself as a writer, is really what I want for my message to be, for the world.
So get started, ladies. You heard it here. You heard what she just said. If this has been sitting on your heart, right? If you know you
Mm-hmm.
have a story, even if it's about the community, I agree 100%. When you get into a space of other writers, of other Black writers, um, who have the same dream, right? It's electric, right?
Mm-hmm.
You begin to feel, even if you've never written anything ever, you begin to feel that it's possible, that you can do this, and you have a vet who has been doing it for 10 years, who's going to lay out the foundation and show you how, and to create this safe space for you. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm happy that you came to share your story, your gift, and your upcoming workshops and your
Thank you so
ongoing
much.
workshops with my audience. You are my first writer of the year, kicking off this writing series, and it's about communities for me too. Like, I hope you all who have joined us found value in this video. And if you did, please click the subscribe button. We are here to share our resources with you. I am here to share people like Miss Black with you to help you grow and build the dream life that you say that you want to lead. So again, if you like this video, if you found value, please support us. Please click the subscribe button. Please share this video with any Black or brown woman who wants to become a writer. Please follow. Halona has her own YouTube channel. I put that in the description below. Please follow her. Please join the workshops at any level, free, nominal fee, intensive book coaching. She's here to help you, and so am I. Thank you for joining us. I hope this kicks off your wonderful season of writing. We are here to help you. Okay. Thank you for joining me, Halona. You stay here for a second. Bye, everyone.